I can sing for everybody.
Ooh, that'd be good. I like that.
Me, 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 me.
You take requests.
Yeah, I only sing the orchestral part from episode 1. Dun 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 dun. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to DKECON, the live San Diego Comic-Con edition. It is Friday, July 14th, and everything's going to go on sale here in about 15 minutes at noon Pacific. And then I will be at San Diego physically in person walking around. There will be a booth that sort of says DKE on it, and there might be some toys, but realistically, if you want to buy something, you should buy it online in 15 minutes.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Mm-hmm. This is it. Exactly.
You're really hyping up the in-person appearance.
You know me, I don't want people to be disappointed. I want people to show up like, where's Dub? It's already going to happen. Like there are people who come to our booth every year. They don't buy anything. They don't buy anything the entire year, and then they're like, hey, we're they're going to be missing out. So,
and then they show up and talk to you for an hour and then not buy anything. So,
that happens.
Yeah, I sympathize.
We love all our customers. We're happy to talk to them.
That's a fucking lie.
It's not. Dub genuinely does. Scott, you on the other hand.
Me on the other hand.
You're a crotchety bastard.
That's right. That's right.
So Scott's got a fun release.
Yeah.
Very small edition here. Look at that one.
Oh, that. It's so pretty.
So I'm gonna have that maybe I'll make like a custom frame for this one and put all of the toys that I actually do have from this on display with it. I have a couple.
That'd be cool.
Of the toys. It's funny. It wasn't until I made this run for you. I didn't even have one of these green Ram. I didn't keep any of them.
Who keeps toys for themselves?
I know.
I'm so bad about that. There are people that make stuff. Well, I mean, they make stuff and then they don't sell it.
Right. I mean, I tell every artist to always keep a couple pieces for themselves of everything they make. And because everyone says that, oh, they can make it, so they'll just make it anytime, and then they never do. And then 10 years passes and they have nothing. So it's really sort of like a small investment of time on each project to make a couple and put them aside. And then you have to have the wherewithal when people, call or text you like, please, I missed it. I must have one, please, please, please. No. And it's like, if you're not willing to make another one, then, not let that go. So
I was just going to say, that's what happens to me where I'm like, I'm keeping this one. And it usually is a couple years later that someone comes,
right.
That happened to me where there was a dark period and I was like, I'm just going to make a toy. I'm going to make it for myself. I'm going to make it really nice. I'm going to put it up on the shelf. And I did, and it turned out really nice. And I was real proud of it. And a celebrity, I won't say who, reached out and was like, I have to have this. And I was like, yes, here you
go. Who was it?
I won't say. I'll tell you later.
All right.
People have been emailing about this guy right here. And unfortunately, we are not selling it. You have to get it from Spoke Art at San Diego.
I can't believe you let that go. How did you let that slip through your fingers again? Tell us about your failure.
Wow.
This was a perfect item as an exclusive for another store. We still have a few pieces.
I think it's a perfect item for your store.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Alex was sort of worried about it. And I told him it's a slam dunk and that it will sell, but We ended up agreeing to only make 20 pieces. And I don't know. When did we release the Stormtrooper? There's a few Stormtroopers still in stock.
That was DKECON.
DKECON, so that was in March. So, you know, the artists get a little persnickety. The idea that they could have like too many unsold editions sitting around, they always feel like it makes them look bad and stuff like that. So, I don't know. So then I pitched it as an exclusive for Spoke Art, and they were excited about it, and so there it is.
All right.
So it is going to be available for sale during San Diego Comic-Con at the Spoke Art Gallery booth, which is booth 4919, beginning Wednesday, July 19th. And they said the remainder is available online at spoke-art.com beginning Thursday, July 27th at 10 a.m. Pacific.
But there's only 20 of them?
Only 20 of them.
I predict no remainders.
It depends how much they promote them.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
You
true.
know, it depends if Alex, you know, posts it, then yeah, it could be huge. If it's just unfortunately these things, they don't have a main line to. Ever since Instagram changed their algorithm, it just don't have like a main line to all of our customers. We have our email blast, which we do. You know, we do send an email out, you know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, with what's updated in the store and about this show and all that kind of stuff. And so that's why I tell everyone on Instagram to, you know, make us one of their little favorite thing. Go to when you hit follow, go get it so we get the little red star next to our name. And if you do that, you will see everything we post and you won't miss out on anything. So that is my suggestion for anyone who doesn't want to miss any information that we're putting out there. The DKE Toys Instagram account it's a business account. There's no photos of my kids, not what I ate for dinner last night, not my pets, which I don't have. I don't take pictures of our vacations. You know, it's just, there's just no garbage on there. It is just, it's all action figures all the time.
All toys all the time.
Yeah, but
Boom.
what did you eat for
AT&T.
dinner last night?
What was that?
I asked him what he ate for dinner last night. He's dodging it.
I think I had tacos.
Nice.
You know what? I post a picture of my dog every once in a while, like on my stories or whatever. That's what that's for. That's where you
Right.
share a little bit of your personal life. But I try to do the same thing where, you know, because toy people are like that, where it's like, just show a picture of the fucking toy. That's why I hate reels too, because everyone's like, I gotta create reels. And then it's like, this is how I made this toy. And it's like, I just want to see a fucking picture of the toy.
Rage Rant with Scott Cherry.
I mean, do you remember the days like this is gonna be like, you know, the things we tell our kids like when we're like 80, it's like, I remember when I posted something to Instagram and people actually saw it in the order they
Yeah.
were posted.
It used to be chronological.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Joker TV
Joker
apparently is
TV.
in YouTube jail, says
And they said in their post, I didn't talk to Mux directly, but it was something to the effect that they were linking away from YouTube to other content because no one would tell them what the actual content was that was a problem.
huh,
Mm.
that's weird.
Well, that's the problem with all of the apps is they want you on the app as much as possible. And as soon as you go, you know, I mean, that's why you can't just post a link on an Instagram. You know, they want you, that's why you go link in bio. You have to like go through these hurdles or give them the money to post the link on an advertisement. I don't
Dane
know.
says episodes are on Twitch, so that makes sense that because
Yeah.
Twitch is a direct competitor to YouTube, that they probably were.
Yeah, you used to not be able to close the app and watch YouTube, but as soon as Twitch was like, yeah, you can close the app and still watch it on a little screen on your phone. YouTube was like, yeah, we do that too.
That was the most annoying thing ever. Like you have to just keep the app on all the time unless you pay it. It's like, see ya.
Yeah.
All the products are live, by the way.
Oh, I was gonna say someone shit's blowing up. I can hear the buzzing. That must be Ian.
Oh, that's me.
Every time there's a sale, Ian's desk vibrates.
Nice. Ian, can you just make sure all the items are live?
Yep.
So we
Oh
have
my god. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix this. This is annoying me. I don't know even.
Just everybody that's watching live, that's how fast things are moving out of the store. Get on there.
Put it on sleep, and it'll kill all your notifications.
Plastic Purpose is in the chat.
Hey,
So let us
Hey, look at that.
do
Oh,
some
man.
promoting. Really fantastic
Beautiful.
figure.
And you said that was a ceramic figure.
A celluloid figure. Are you guys on? Can you tell us more about it? Is it something that you found?
Plastic Purpose in the chat. Let us know.
What
About
is,
your
yeah, what is a
Okay.
celluloid
I'm back.
figure? I don't think I've ever heard that.
Fixed it.
Inquiring minds want to
Nice.
know.
Practice. Plastic Purpose says, "Hey y'all. Hopefully we'll get a little info about that piece." But I'm so glad
Yeah.
to see it in person as opposed to just the picture we had on the preview episode because that thing is badass.
Yeah, it's really,
It's really
well
nice.
done. A lot of character.
It's like
what we
really
love around
beautifully creepy.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat your soul for breakfast with my eggs.
here. Who else we got? Abracadapoof.
Hey, the poof.
Indonesia is here.
I mean, that thing is the gift that keeps on giving.
I love
mean,
this
it's
piece so much.
Pull out the record and the pop up and the toy and
Oh, there's some comments there.
All right. Plastic Purpose says it's a bootleg of a celluloid figure. We found it in a lot of vintage toys. No other info.
Wow.
what
so
is this? What is this celluloid toy though? I don't know if I've
Celluloid
ever
is
heard of it.
the before there was like plastic. You know, like the 20. You can Google it, but that's what film used to be.
I can
made
Google
out of.
anything. I want you to tell me.
I believe celluloid was one of those sort of early forms of plastic that were are they flammable now? I don't know.
I mean, old celluloid is
was.
definitely flammable.
If it was
Yeah.
nitrate, yeah, the nitrate films would like spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
You know, they say that the majority of like 90% of the films made from like the inception of filmmaking until like the 20s or something, like none of those films exist.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I remember driving to work down Olive Boulevard in Burbank one Sunday morning, going to edit on a show that made me edit on Sunday, and we just saw a pillar of smoke coming up at the end of Olive. And as we got closer, we realized it was because the entire Universal Film Archive was on fire.
Jesus.
Yeah, this was like 2008, 2009, and they lost a
I
ton of
remember
stuff.
that.
Yeah. And those are like insulated, and it's like Fort Knox for film, and something went up, and man, like we're just sitting there watching history burn from 3 blocks away.
The janitor's out having a smoke break.
As Gone with the Wind goes up. And...
Oh shit! Yeah.
Back to Abracadapoof here.
Yeah.
Made a fantastic figure with a record. Right. I don't know if
So
that's
cool.
amazing part on the back, and then this thing, which is just look at that.
That's amazing.
I mean, the hardest thing about this figure is how am I going to display it? Like, is it
Yeah.
open? Is it
You
like
have to
do I
make
put
a
it in a
choice.
frame? So many
I
options.
think you have to buy 3 then.
Oh man.
There you go.
This show is punishing enough. There's so many good pieces. Yeah, Abracadapoof agreed with you. He just said I have to.
Oh,
buy it.
nice.
Yeah, by 3.
Yeah, by 3. Who else is in the chat?
I know what I was doing when I made that thing.
I knew Janky would pony up 3 times.
Is Dane's in the chat too?
Dane.
Yep, Dane's here.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So good,
Love it.
man.
So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 5th in the series, right?
I think so.
So-
Yes.
I think that's what we said. Yeah.
Which is the next one? I'm gonna make Guy Walker next. Or what about these other guys? They're gonna all come in a yes, no.
Yes, no.
thing.
Hmm.
What about Tubal Cain, Goggins, and Festive Bunzinalia? I think you should. I think you should just do those in a 3-pack.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's
Goggins.
the last guy's name?
Can you read it?
Festive Buzzinalia. Yeah, I think you're right.
Festive Buzzinalia.
Yeah, Buzzinalia.
Fence it bun. Yeah, okay. I like it. I'm into it. Let's make a movie. The prequel is his origin story.
Wow. Amazing. And of course, Mr. Scott Cherry also decided to show up. Neil named those guys. It's fantastic. I mean, I like the OU812. That's the old Van Halen joke.
Mm-hmm.
But then I ate one before you. Like,
That's sort of genius. Yeah.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
ICUP.
Yeah, ICUP, right. What else we need to talk about? Janky, we have some comments from the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, we do. Actually, we've had some really great feedback over the past couple of weeks.
We're just starving for feedback. You know, one person is like, "Hey, dude, I like the show," and then like we're reading your comment. It's like,
Hey, yeah.
Joe Schmo really liked the show.
Yeah, it's essentially just,
Yeah.
this is welcome to the backpacking or the back patting hour.
Yeah. Hey, we must be doing something good. 3 comments.
3 people said they really enjoy the show.
Yeah.
It's funny because the people who watch the show regularly like comment about how it's like their favorite thing every week, right? So there's a very small percentage of people who think it's like really fucking unbelievable. And then there's like 99.9999999% of the rest of the world that just doesn't give a shit at all.
They watch it for
Right.
42 seconds and they're out.
This
Yeah,
is
it's the people in the asylum that are like, oh my God, this is my favorite show.
it's just so niche. I mean, it's already a niche of a niche of a niche, right? There's like collectors, and then there's toy collectors, and then there's like action figure collectors, and then this is like the weird sub genre of
It is, because I did that horror convention over the weekend, and having to sort of explain that there's this toy subculture underground that makes these toys, and everyone's just like, okay,
Yeah.
bye.
bye.
So what Clutter used to do is they made in Clutter magazine, when they were still publishing it, there was a sort of like a designer toy 101, like 10 or 12 page insert. And then they started reprinting it in every magazine, so that at every convention they gave it to people. And it just explained like, what is a vinyl toy? What is Safubi? What is Keshi? What is a bootleg resin? Is this okay? And it was a really kind of fun little write-up. It's like, well, it depends on your opinion. And they had a lawyer, write like a little thing. It was like, it's really entertaining.
We actually have a quick Q&A question from Andrew Belfin first, who wants to know
Sure.
what's the link to the store where you can buy stuff.
If you go to DKECON.com, it's got all the information on it. You can get to the store link many different ways. From our Instagram, you can click on the link tree there, go that way. You can go to DKEToys.com and click on the store link. You can just type it into your URL as DKEToys.com/store. Just go to DKEToys.com and click on store. As easiest thing to do. You can Google
Link in
it.
bio. Link in bio.
Link in bio if you're on Instagram. Sometimes you're not on Instagram, so
Right. Yeah.
But it is there.
Rare.
It's everywhere. It's ever present. But DKECON.com has a link to this Zoom and a link to the store and a press release, and we just try to. I'm not sure how many people look at it. We kind of do it for ourselves to have all of our thoughts and ideas like in one place. So your link is in my bio. Well, there you go.
Wow.
Excellent. There you go.
I am honored.
Yeah. So some of the one of the big hits here is Ian.
What?
Both the beard and your catchphrase of "Stay Fresh Cheese Bag" getting a lot of feedback in the comments. So that's people are
Cool.
really into the cheese bag. We had a good one from Bonehead Adidas, who I believe is worst villain ever. After the George episode, talking about the potty training, said, "Dude, my 2.5-year-old nailed potty training and then just suddenly regressed to rage pissing on everything. She time traveled to tell herself that I never bought her a pony."
Wow.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah. Cinema Plastico thinks that the Mad Marks figure, which is on sale now in the DKE store, looks like Danemark's. So
You know what?
we may have another time travel situation here.
I mean,
It's the
Let's-
beard.
let's just talk about that.
I mean, yeah, it
mean-
does look like him.
Yeah.
But then again, like Karl Marx, the real Karl Marx just sort of looks like him too.
Right.
Exactly.
Dave, are you
Yeah.
Karl Marx?
Yeah.
He's not going to answer, probably. He's going to plead the fifth.
Yeah.
Chris,
Are
did
you
see the
now, or
question in
have
the
you ever
chat?
been associated with the Communist Party?
Which
There's
question?
a question
Oh,
in the chat from Rory.
Oh, go, Rory, yeah. So Rory says, "So I'm kind of new to this side of toy collecting space. I'm used to things with 1,000+ pieces selling out in seconds. Is that normal here? I was able to get both of the ones I wanted, even with the crazy small amounts of them. So I'm excited and curious if that is normal."
When it comes to resin, I mean, there's a few artists out there, I think, that sell out editions of, I mean, we've had editions of 50 and 100 that have had a lot of buzz that have sold out in,
Mhm.
what's our record? Maybe like 15 minutes?
No, the Luke Chu.
No, it was like 1
Yeah.
minute.
2 or
More
2
like 1
minutes. Yeah,
minute,
it was
yeah.
fast,
1
yeah.
minute. All right. But
Yeah.
but then we made the second Luke Chu figure, and then it's always diminishing returns. And then because a lot of those people, I think, who bought up front were flippers.
Yeah.
And so, there were dozens of them on eBay. And then if you look at this one, like if they don't make enough money, they don't come back for the second one. So it's kind of rough. Like the flippers like appreciate that there's people out there that like believe in you and want to like invest in you. But if they abandon you, then stuff doesn't sell that fast. So generally speaking, if there's 25 of something and it sells out really fast, we talk to the artist and say, "Hey, next time I think you should make 50." Because we really want everyone who wants one to get one. We don't try to play that manufactured game, or, that manufactured rareness game. It's not what we're about. I don't like it when people do it to me. I don't do it to other people.
There's an inherent scarcity built in that because every piece is handmade, the artist only has so much time to make the pieces.
Sure. So in that respect, they are rare, but I would say most editions take 6 months to a year to sell out. I think every show there's a handful that sell out in, I would say now, like in a day. We have 16 releases. 3 or 4 might sell out in a day, 2 a week, and then the rest sort of like take their time to find their home. It just, but ultimately everything sells. It all finds a home. It just, I can't tell you why. It's just, we don't have pieces sitting around from 10 years ago. It just doesn't happen.
And that's part of the reason, Rory, since you're newer to the space, before we do these San Diego release or any convention release, we do the rarities and reacquisition sale for all of the collections that Dove has rebought over the course of time. And that's really fun for us because that is the place that all of these rare sold out pieces sometimes will surface again. And then you might get a shot at one, but it's tough because I think buying it, if you like something, buy it when it comes out, if you're able to, because you don't know how people are going to react and you don't know how long things are going to sit around. And
then you're going to spend the next few years chasing it down.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell, like, even me, who's pretty on top of everything that's happening, I didn't buy the Pumpkin Pop Back to the Future figure, and I regretted it almost immediately, and it was sold out. Like, there was no way to get it. I even messaged her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I think the mold is dead."
And she blocked you on Instagram.
Yeah, she was like, "Never will you have one." But one of those came back through in the reacquisition sale that just happened, so I was able to actually get one finally. So, if you like something and you have the ability to do it, I think it's worth getting now, because these handmade pieces, once they're gone, they're usually gone.
If you go to the site and you search by newest, you'll see the most recent releases, and then right after the 16 or so exclusives will be probably about 100 items that all say either like last one. And those are all the things that we put back on the site that we bought in collections or have traded for, or, you know, whatever happens. There's actually a box pending now for the next show that I've already started building.
Wow.
And we got a collection in, and there's just a box full of reaction figures, original ones like Terminator and Star Trek and Firefly and all some weird stuff. It's
Nice. The ones that you look too hard
Yeah.
at and the blister pops off.
yeah, well, I did. I had like
Quality.
5 or 6 Star Trek just
Hold on, I'll be right back.
fall off in my hand. Someone's at the door. Oh, Vex is at the door. So anyway, what else going on? What Rory said, that he hated flippers.
Yep.
I mean-
flippers take the fun out of collecting. Manufactured rarity takes the fun out of collecting.
All right, so from the perspective of someone who's selling stuff, I mean, flippers are a sort of a double-edged sword. I've never.
Totally.
There are people who actively try to prevent flipping, and there are some people out there, some artists who will only sell things to people that they know, right? And then if they find that you've ever sold something you've bought from them, they'll never sell to you again.
Blacklist you, yeah.
I mean, the one thing, the positive side of flipping, aside from is that these are people who have found a hole in the market. They realize that we're releasing something and there's only 20 of them in the world. And all 20 of those people who want that item are not necessarily here or following us on Instagram. And so if someone takes that and puts it on eBay, which we don't, it's quite often getting to a different audience and helping expand the audience.
Yeah.
The downside is if they create a false sense of like investment culture, like this is worth money, and then they start buying up the stuff, trying to like elevate the market and that kind of stuff. And then if it doesn't pan out, like if they can't all buy a toy from us at $100 and flip it at 150 or 200 or 300 or whatever the crazy price is, then they sort of abandon it. And then if someone was used to that sort of like you have to decide if your market, you can try to limit flippers, and we generally try to limit one per person on most toys on the first day. So like on Friday, and then Friday tonight at midnight, we'll open it up. So if someone at 2 a.m. wants to buy all the 15 left of, you know, whatever, great. Thank you very much. I mean, that's great. But yeah, I don't know. Mixed feelings. Sure, you love them, you hate them, but
What did I miss?
We're
Just
talking about the
flippers.
love-hate relationship of flippers, because
yeah.
as an
Uh-huh.
artist making the toys, you know, it's right. You're happy to have the sale.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a downside, you know, and if you could just magically, right?
Dane loves them.
if you could magically just figure out how many to make. You know, we talked about this last week on the show. It's like if you make 100 pieces and you only sell 10, it's a complete failure. If you make 10, you sell all 10, you're a hero.
Yeah.
So if someone helps you like push that into being sold out, that's great. But then there's people who missed it who now have to pay more.
Right.
So is it better that it sit on our site for 6 months and slowly find every single person that wants it? And because sometimes people can't afford it. So a lot of people, they have a list of 10 figures they want, they can only buy 3 today. And they come back next month, they buy another 2. So it's nice that they can come back and buy that stuff, but there's sort of this like triage mentality, like I need to buy the thing that I think is going to be most popular.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to pay extra later, and what's going to hang around, it becomes a self-fulfilling, you know, sort of prophecy. I as a dealer in both, you know, mainstream toys, when we buy, you know, estates and collections from people, and when we buy this kind of stuff, people are often asking me like, hey, what's good? You know, what's going to be worth a lot of money? And my answer to that is like, I'm not an investment advisor. Like, you should buy it if you like it. You know, like, what's hot? There's a lot of people like that. They're like, tell me what's hot. I want to buy the hot thing. And it's like, if you look at it and it gives you a good feeling,
Yeah.
you laugh, it inspires you, you want to hang it up, you want to look at it every day. Like that's the best kind of art. You know, when you look at something and it gives you the feels, like you go like, oh, that's amazing, because either the quality or there's the nostalgia, or you know, whatever aspect of it that works for you. And then these figures in general are hitting on all sorts of different a lot of them there's a lot of different aspects. They're firing on all cylinders. And you want to talk about a toy that fires on all cylinders, right? Is this Fat Tony right here? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Fat Tony, when we were distributing this, I don't know, when did these come out? Like 10 years ago?
At least.
Were these already here when you started at DKE?
The second edition, yeah.
Second edition. Okay, so we're
The
talking about
fluorescent
10
one.
10 years this line has been going. And it just, so you could be a Ron English fan. You could just be into his art and like it. It has a sort of an ad bustery, anti-corporate, you know, it's got political commentary. It's sort of like a wacky package. It has, you know, the parody aspect. It just, there's so many things. There's so many people who identify with this character as Tony the Tiger. They're serial collectors. Like it just
A diabetic.
That's what I was going to say. Serial
There is that.
consumers. Yeah.
There is that
Yeah.
too. I'm just saying it fires on so many cylinders that toy has been in production. And if you see it's the orange one so this was the first one.
That's the first one, yeah.
Okay,
The
so
bright,
there's
the
only-
fluorescent was the second.
So this is the expensive one. There's only 500 of these.
Wow.
And it sold, I think we sold them in a day.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
what you told me.
And then I called up Ron English and his wife. I'm like, this is an evergreen product. You will sell this forever. This is not meant to be a limited edition. And the price point was good for a vinyl toy of this size. Comes in a nice big box. It's $60. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten toys recently that are this size and they're like $150.
Yeah.
And so they altered it slightly. They made this
Yeah.
one as the regular edition. And I think in the past 10 years, they've probably sold 5,000 or 10,000 of them.
Yeah, easily.
Easily, right? And so each one of these, when they come in, there's probably a few thousand of them. And then they get expensive when they go out of production for a little while. And they're because if you're a small producer, you really can't afford to keep thousands of 12 different things in stock.
Buzzard Gut says that when you said Fat Tony, he was thinking about The Simpsons. And then Rory says he was picturing Tony Stark busting out of his Iron Man suit. So
That'd be
Well,
funny.
there you go.
a lot of ways to go with that one.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, they're just fat shaming, and we're gonna look back at this and we're gonna all get canceled because of that. It's not okay.
As a fat guy, I'll forgive it.
I don't know if it's fat shaming. I mean,
There's a lot of aspects of it that I love. That part of it is like,
I don't think so. I mean, I think what Ron is saying with those is, look, if you eat the sugary cereal, you're gonna get fat. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get diabetes, which is what happened to me.
Yeah, but isn't one of the figures called like Obesios or something?
There's the sugar diabetic bear.
There's that one.
You know, I mean, he also
like-
did the Kiss Kids on Coke. You know, because when he started, it was like all of that anti-smoking, the
Right.
Joe Camel stuff, and it was like a female camel smoking a cigarette while she's pregnant. I mean,
Those early billboards when he would go put up billboards.
they're
where-
genius.
Yeah.
I don't
Virginia.
see them as fat shaming. I mean it's corporate commentary, you know. It's
Right.
the fact that they're
It's
allowed to put
corporate
those things
shaming.
out that make it. It's corporate shaming. Yeah. Take the mascot.
I'm
All of
into.
those mascots are skinny. Tony the Tiger is athletic, for God's sake, and there's nothing athletic about Frosted Flakes. My body was built by Frosted Flakes, and I couldn't run a mile. So
It's like
Right.
McDonald's sponsoring the Olympics every 4 years.
Ian, what did you tell me about Kellogg when he made cornflakes? What his purpose was?
It was to curb masturbation. He's rolling over in his graves with Frosted Flakes. I mean, that was a big argument with him and his brother, like to sweeten the cereal. But now we can all just eat sugary food and have sinful thoughts.
Food that made us
There was-
episode.
there-
It's a good one.
There was that movie Road to Wellville that was
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
based on that. Yeah. That's an interesting story.
In the chat, Matt says, as parents of young kids, just curious if there is anything that they will look back at fondly, since most stories are filled with stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s geared toward their parents. Nostalgia seems like a highly marketable to people our age.
I think so. I mean, there's going to be some things. There's definitely going to be some things that are, new to this era that will hang around or might go away, and then people will be nostalgic for. It's true that most movie studios would rather sell you a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie than something completely new, because that's too risky. So from a financial perspective, they keep going back to what's the tried and true. And that's why there's just this constant need to remake, 60s, 70s, and 80s TV into movies. Like, oh, here's our Scooby-Doo show, and here's our Addams Family show, and here's, the Munsters show, and here's
brand recognition. I mean, it's the only thing that Hollywood is interested in, which is why Battleship is a movie.
Right. and Barbie is a movie. Mattel used to be the number one toy company in the world, right? And then they became second to Lego, and then they looked at Hasbro, and Hasbro has G.I. Joe movies and Transformer movies and and they have this content, and they were trying so hard to, like, how can they start making money on, because like even Dark Horse Comics, like, it seemed like they were going to go out of business at one point, right? And then everything got turned into a movie, and then that saved them.
Right.
And not only that, they get to option the stories over and over again. So someone's wanted to make a Concrete movie, a Paul Chadwick Concrete movie, and they just keep, it's like someone pays them, $100,000 for a year or two to develop, and then that falls flat and they don't get the funding, and then they option it to something else. It's sort of like the Stephen King makes so much money from just optioning his stories to people. But, it's like you get paid for a development amount of time, and then if you don't make something in that time, the rights go back to him, and then he options it to somebody else. And
but then he also does cool, like he does The Babies, where if you're an independent filmmaker,
sometimes he'll give you something for free.
$1. And he won't take, and now if he gets bigger at some point, then there's a stipulation for how far it can go. But if you want to make, I had a friend that made a really great movie based off a Stephen King short story, a short film. If you want to make something and enter it in a festival, he'll sell it to you for $1 to do it.
Yeah.
So
That's sweet.
I'll buy that for $1.
I mean, he's been so cool about that. He's also been really cool about independent book publishers.
Oh,
so
like
there
he
are
needs
these
any more money.
but that's what I'm saying. He's not charging a lot of money, right? So he will.
That's amazing.
He will allow these small publishers to reprint like a limited edition of The Stand, the 10th year anniversary in leather or whatever, and he'll sign them and let them sell these editions for thousands of dollars. And he's just basically supporting all of these little companies that make their money selling Stephen King, special editions, but use the money to publish other independent, writers and stuff. So really, classy dude. Good job.
It's interesting.
He's great.
Talking about the nostalgia stuff, like we are seeing though, for as much as we all hated the prequels, there is now an actual nostalgia push for the prequels for the people that were kids when the prequels came out.
Absolutely.
Which totally blew my mind.
Right. But so there is some sense that, like, look, is it as good as us getting, like, we got the Goonies, right? We got all these things that were very original. Would I rather my daughter have her own version of the Goonies? Yeah, but if she latches onto Wednesday and that becomes something she's nostalgic for, at least there's something that came back around that,
Sure.
you know, and the prequels have got like, Rory actually said in the chat, as a member of Gen Z, I think our nostalgia is going to be geared towards internet trends, viral videos, content curators, stuff like that. That's part of the prequels becoming, like, their popularity resurfacing came from memes. You know, the Hello There meme or the General Grievous memes, and like those started blowing up, and then they started buying the figures again, and now they're nostalgic for the movies and the toys, and you know. So is it as big as Star Wars? No, but they also haven't hit their prime buying capacity yet. So
I'm not sure if
you know, but
I'm sorry.
I can sort of see that too, because you know, they're the generation before me, when they're nostalgic for all of these old like grindhouse movies and the old sci-fi movies and everything. You watch it and you go, well, these are kind of shitty, you know. But it was like,
Right.
well, I felt up a girl at the drive-in when I was watching this movie. It's the greatest movie ever. Yeah, I can see that.
I'm not sure.
So
Did I tell the story about Indiana Jones? I was talking to this Crystal Skull. So there was this licensing guy that I was talking to, and he claimed, at least, he didn't work for Lucasfilm or Paramount, but he said that they did a survey, that the reason that they made Crystal Skull was because they did a survey of 18-year-olds at the time. What year did Crystal Skull come out? 10 years ago?
that sounds about right.
Yeah, and they did a survey of 18-year-olds, and like only 10% knew who Indiana Jones was. And so it's like they have to make this new movie, and the reason to make one every 10 years is because 12 years ago, thank you. The reason to make one every 10 years is because then you can continue to license stuff. And if there is no awareness, you can't license like the mugs and the figures and the cups and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. It just sort of goes away. So the way that they think is to stay relevant is to create this movie.
Make this awful movie.
But it might be awful, but then everyone wants to go see what's the buzz about, and then they go watch the original movies. And in that case, maybe they see them and they go, oh, those were pretty cool, and oh, the new one kind of stinks. But then there's an awareness, right? And then you wait 20, 30 years, and then maybe there's some nostalgia. I don't know. The younger generation is not really collecting stuff. Used to getting their books and magazines and media, movies, you know, for free, wants to pay very little, has sort of getting duped into like the subscription model. Like, just pay us $9.95 a month, and you know, that's becoming a problem. People are like, I'm spending $200 a month in subscriptions that I don't watch. You know, it's like,
but like, I mean, the new indie movie, which I haven't seen and have not a lot of desire to see, but I mean, that tanked.
I have no desire to see it.
I
haven't
Me
even watched
neither.
the trailer. I don't want to see it. Like,
yeah, I love the Indiana Jones franchise. I really did. I think we talked about some earlier episode, but like Crystal Skull was so bad to me that like I can't go back to that well. I can't. And it looks like a lot of people feel the same way, because Dial of Destiny is not done well at all.
I've only heard one really bad review. The reviews that I've heard, the people that I know like it, but look, I don't go to the theater anymore.
Dane says that it was great and we're crazy, and Dustin said it's one of the worst movies he's ever seen in his life. So we've got some real polarizing views on this.
Nerd fight.
wow, we should let them duke it out. I think the point is that I don't know what the future of nostalgia is. I don't know where that is headed. I know that when people make a figure for us and it has a Harry Potter theme, we
When
sell
does
a
that
few.
happen?
It just, if it's a Star Wars theme, it sells better. So it's like, and people say, oh, you always sell Star Wars stuff. I'm kind of bored of the Star Wars stuff, and I like this other stuff that people are making that are not Star Wars. But let's look at all the stuff that we're selling. Okay, so Mad Mark says no Star Wars. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Charlie 2&A does not have Star Wars. The M&M's from Steve Casino.
But can I
is
say
not...
something? Just by having it on a 6x9 card and a blister is.
Yeah, I mean,
it is Star Wars, but
it is nostalgia. I mean, that is you know, the 6x9 card and the 3 3 3/4 inch figure they existed before Star Wars, but Star Wars put them on the map.
Right.
And there's
Yeah.
and I will go so far as to say, even though Fisher Price did it before, the 5 points of articulation is so ingrained, you know, with people as a Star Wars figure. For those of you who don't know, that's a vintage figure has 5 points of articulation: a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, and that's like all the movement you get. And they're just simple manufacture. Janky's going to do something funny with
I was
this.
just
And if
thinking,
you-
I'm totally going to do something with
I
that.
can already tell. I should keep my mouth shut, but
And that's not your mouth that's the problem, it's your arm.
No, because now all the publicity, all the pictures that go out that promote this show is a picture of me picking my teeth.
And
I chose that photo for the press release at DKECON.com.
yeah.
And then Sarah's like, "Is this one okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's fine. Just gotta love it."
Did I miss that? What?
Go to DKECON.com.
I'm going.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up here?
Oh, Eddie doesn't want to wrap up. Eddie
Eddie
wants
Eddie doesn't want to
wrap
go.
up. He wants this to last for 6 hours.
forever. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
pitching me
Those-
on that.
Those
the
were
other
Let's
day.
the
do it.
days.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Just
My
go
butt doesn't
24
hurt yet.
hours. You know, Aileen and George, back in the day for Toy Break, once a year as a fundraiser would do the 24-hour Toy Break.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people would just show up at their apartment and just sit on the couch. And amazingly enough, there was always like a dozen or 2 people watching, like all the way through the night. Like at 5 a.m, they're like, "So, you know, look who showed up." And they should just like schedule people to show up, and they'd sit on the couch and just start talking. And like 24 hours later, they're like, "We raised $5,000." And then okay.
Weren't you always on at like 2 in the morning? Like you always had a weird late spot, didn't you?
I was on a few of them. That was the era where I did not do public appearances or public speaking of any kind. I've changed, obviously. I can't believe that this is my life. It doesn't really hurt my feelings anymore when people take photos of me going like this, and then like do shit to it. That's fine. I'm over that. I don't know. I've changed. Like I can go lecture in front of a college class or talk about stuff.
I mean, the
I wo-
weekly
I-
show was your idea. You
I-
wanted
Yeah.
a weekly show.
The weekly show hurt my ass less than the 10-hour
It
show.
does.
Like this, I mean, that's how I know that like the show is getting too long. It's like my butt's hurting in this chair. And
Oh, come
Dub,
on.
I don't think it's the show that's the problem. I think it's the chair.
yeah, I just need a
That's a
better
problem.
chair. The thing is,
Maybe
I
you
don't-
need a new chair.
I don't want a 4-hour show. I want
Eddie does.
I understand, but
That's
that's
the
not
most
for Eddie.
important
Like I think ideally, I think if we had a good 45 to hour-long show every other week would be great. And the reason is because people can then get into it and watch the backlog. If they discover it, it's not daunting. It's not like here's 300 episodes. They're all 8 hours each. Go.
I'll take on that challenge.
That's your
time.
life, though. Is you end up talking about toys for 8 hours a day. You know.
Yeah,
I just
it's-
meant any kind of show that's long form. I'll do it. I don't care.
I mean,
I'll listen to a 3-hour deposition for some court case. I've done
Yeah,
that.
one time Ian was like, "Dude, you got to listen to this," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, it sounds cool." I'm like, "Dude, this is 4 hours long." He's like, "Yeah, they're all that way," and I'm like, "Took me
But
2 weeks
it-
to listen to one episode."
it depends what you're doing. If artists who are at home in their studio painting, pouring resin, doing whatever, listening to podcasts and stuff, long format shit, like that's great. If Ian's doing work here where he doesn't have to interact with people and he's listening to a podcast and puttering around doing stuff, I can't sit at my computer and type emails and communicate with people and have stuff playing in the background. For me,
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
have to like I can do it in the car. I try to just make sure I've watched each one of our episodes once, to make sure I'm like not being an idiot, like failure there. But anyway, I just try to like make sure that I've seen everyone once, and usually I'm in the car, on the way home, but I can't like get home at night and just like, hey, I'm gonna watch, this show for 3 hours. Like I can't, I don't have that kind of time. That just cuts into sleep time at this point in my life.
And same thing with like Netflix shows and stuff, where it's like, I'm like, oh, that looks like a cool movie, and I'm like, it's a show, and they're an hour a piece, and there's 12 of them. I'm
right.
Like,
when I see something like I
I
watched
just
that
want to
Price,
watch a movie,
right.
half hour.
I watched that Price is Right thing on Netflix, and that was like 30 minutes, and I was like, wait, it's the whole story? It's done? Oh,
Beautiful.
Amazing.
I'm in.
Amazing.
More like that. More like that.
just,
Yeah. How good was that? The guy that
It's
memorized,
fantastic.
he made the data bank of all the prices and all
Tell
that
me
stuff.
tell me a fantastic story in 20 or 30 minutes that is memorable. That's genius. Stretching it out into 13 episodes and like telling me what you're going to tell me, and then telling it to me, and then telling me what you told me, and it's just like, oh God.
I watched a documentary about these surfers that wanted to go surf the Aurora Borealis.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to go shoot themselves surfing with the Northern Lights behind them. It was 45 minutes. The ending was them surfing with the Northern Lights behind them. It was
Spoiler
beautiful.
alert.
It was like,
is this like in Alaska? How are they not freezing to death?
it was freezing water. But they were like, but those surfers, they're crazy. I mean, that goes into that whole thing too, where they're like these crazy fucking surfers. And I was like, if that was an hour and a half documentary, it would stink. It would be like, okay, get on with it already. There's the guy that did Heavy Metal Parking Lot. That's only like 15 minutes long. And that's all of his movies now. He did a documentary on Lancelot Link.
Private Chimp or Secret Chimp.
Yeah, Secret Chimp. Secret Chimp, is it? Do you remember that show where it was like
this just goes back to my point, right? If
15-minute documentary, it doesn't need to be.
If you make 10
thing.
pieces and you sell out of 10 pieces, you're a genius. If you make 100 and you only sell 10, you're a dummy, right? You make a half an hour that is inspiring, you're a genius. You take the same topic and you make it a 13-part series and you're bored to death, you're an idiot. Like,
it depends on the topic.
But don't you think that, I mean, now with streaming and YouTube and stuff, where a format doesn't really matter, because you sort of fall into this thing, like you can't have a 50-minute movie. It has to be 90 minutes. You know what I mean? It has to be at least be an hour and a half, or it's not a movie. Documentary is the same way.
It was that way for the theater. That's right. If you went to the theater and you paid the same price for 60 minutes, in order to qualify for a feature, it had to be like 70 minutes. Right, because I remember there's a bunch of like Charles Band movies back in the day, and they were like, with the credits run for 12 minutes. It's like, I just watched this thing for 58 minutes, and it's like executive in charge of production overseeing the it's like, okay, there's like your 12 minutes of credits to qualify. So there was a legal definition at some point for some reason if you were going to tell people that you were going to buy a ticket to a movie. Otherwise, it had to be called a short, and I think 60 minutes or under it was a short. But format-wise, I mean, I think the beauty of Netflix and streaming is they can just do whatever they want.
And that's what I'm saying. Is I think it gives people the freedom to not have this bloated documentary or this bloated movie where you can just be like, it's 15 minutes long.
But I mean, I think that's good, but I think the real place where that freedom exists is here on YouTube, because there's still corporate measures that are putting into place and expectations that go into place with all the streaming stuff. And I mean, look, here we have to fund this ourselves, and we're doing it all by the seat of our pants, and everybody that does. But there are some stories being told here, especially in the short format space. Like, that
Sure.
that you couldn't do, on Netflix, or you're getting profiles of people that you won't see because nobody wants to invest in. Let's talk about artists. Let's talk about artist profiles. There's no. I've pitched that show. I pitched that show many, many times. Nobody wants to fund it, but we get an artist on every week, and we get to talk to them for an hour. So,
Sure.
so
But
yeah, I
that's
think
the-
between
that's
the
beauty.
user-made content and what's happening on streaming, we're actually getting some really great stories in a new way.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that the revenue stream on YouTube and these places are such that
Yeah.
they don't really have to pay people unless they're really drawing, millions of people. And so money is not being invested in that kind of stuff.
Right.
And so the quality is not, it's just not there. I mean, the quality of that The Price is Right documentary was not that good. I mean, you could just look at the lighting, and you could just see it's like, where did they shoot this? Like, this was just like, did you just have one light bulb? But it didn't matter. Like, the story was good.
And a lot of the interviews were harvested from another show, like a different podcast.
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
I do recommend that Lancelot Link documentary. It's fascinating to see these guys, how they like trained all the chimps and
Yeah,
stuff.
for those that don't know,
It
it
was
was
a
a show
fun
that came
show.
out in the 70s, I think, where they had chimpanzees as like James Bond and spies.
Real
and they're, like,
chimp.
on skis, and it's bananas.
There's a
It's
great
bananas.
there's a great scene where there's a chimpanzee on the back of a miniature horse, and he's got an eagle on his shoulder, and it's all real. They taught this chimp to have the eagle right here while he's riding a horse. It's amazing.
Wow.
Totally something that cannot be made now, or would all be CG. So
Dove's like, would you shut up, Scott, about the Lancelot Link? No one cares.
I never think that. I'm always appreciative that you're here and talking about whatever you talk about.
Well, thank you.
Any more chimp stuff? Faces getting ripped off? Anything?
There is
Was-
something like that in that documentary.
All right. Well,
Was it about
before we leave,
Jim
someone
Chimpsky?
wants to say hello.
All right.
hey!
Oh my
Hey!
god.
Samuel Kelmer Industries.
Hi.
What's up, dude? How's it going?
Good.
What's up?
I don't know.
It's summer, like daddy day at the office.
Abracadapoof says, "Hi, little dude."
Yeah. All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for who's come onto the site and bought figures. And please, if you're seeing this next week when this is posted, there's a lot of great stuff on the site, DKEtoys.com/store. Just go to DKEtoys.com, whatever. If you want to see the newest stuff, make sure to sort by newest to oldest. So thank you to Janky and Scott and Ian and everyone who's chipped in and done all this hard work. The artists, we had 16 artists. I would say it's a pretty light grouping for San Diego. It seems to be the trend, like middle of the year. And everyone who couldn't make it for San Diego was like, I will be there at DKECON. So I'm sort of afraid that because on the list, and people drop out, but it's like the list for DKECON is bigger than it has ever been for any show ever. I hope that's, and this show is like, some people dropped out. I was like, that's not too good. And then like, when it gets to those shows where there's like 50 people who want to do stuff, I'm like, I hope a few people will drop out.
And be like, look, Samuel, these guys, they dropped out for San Diego. We're gonna have to make more toys.
We need a new bounty
We're gonna
hunter
have
with a poop reference.
I think he's over that one.
Jabba the Doo-Doo.
He's ready to move on. Jabba the doo-doo. Is there room for Dane at DKECON? Of course there is. There's always room for you, dude.
Always wrong.
Always.
All right, guys.
Dane's
you
like
for
it's like
everything.
Jello.
Bye.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to
Yeah.
you soon.
Stay
later.
fresh, cheese bags. Get it.
Never gets old.